Good morning, one and all present here. I am Shubhayan Das, and today I feel very honored to welcome our esteemed guest, Caroline McGuinness, ma'am. Welcome, ma'am, who has joined us from Melbourne, Australia. She is a coach, mentor, and a speaker who lives a life of purpose through her work and career. As a professionally qualified social worker and life coach, she has honed her skills at human behavior, resilience, women empowerment, and helping hundreds of women across Australia and globally, standing in power of their own voice and be of service to others. Thank you so much for joining us, ma'am.
Very welcome. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. It's a pleasure and an honor. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. So I would like to introduce my panel to joining us for today's discussion, Srisha Gupta and Sritishna, and I will be the host of the day session. So let's begin with a question, a little bit of introduction of everyone. Hi, Srisha. Would you-
Hi everybody, I'm Srisha Gupta. I'm a member of MSA and also we're hosting the DaeDarus hack, all of us. And ma'am, we are glad to have you here and I'm looking forward to the session very much.
Sritishna?
My pleasure. Thank you so
Hi
much.
guys, my name is Shatishna and I'm a member at MSA too. We welcome you guys to Git Kaksha and we are looking forward to a great session. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you so
and
much to my host.
yeah. So that's pretty good for now. So let's start with ma'am. So you are a founder at ELW. Like, how did you establish the empowering leading women, the whole foundation? Would you like to talk about that a little?
Indeed,
Yeah.
and I think it is really relevant to the topic again today that we are sharing, which is technology is the key to women empowerment, and I think that is really great that I have that opportunity today to be able to share my story and my journey. And my career and background is qualified social worker, and I'm an Irish woman living in Melbourne. And I was qualified in Ireland, practiced social work in Ireland, and had an opportunity to be here and work in Australia. And so I immigrated in 2012 to Melbourne, Australia, and I worked directly with um, my colleagues in social work and child protection in that arena, and I really enjoyed that. And for the first 5.5 years, um, that encompassed many different disadvantage, working with women, those who are affected by domestic violence or domestic abuse, alcohol or drug, also working with children who have been physically abused or neglected. My qualifications allowed me to be able to work with many different areas in the social work field. And really, that's where I got to really understand the human behavior and understanding about, how we think, what we do, um, how things don't always work out in life, and that it can be a struggle and a challenge in any family or an individual, and that is normal life to have ups and downs. So when I did that work for 5.5 years, it was time for a new challenge and it was time for a new chapter. And I decided that I wanted to take a career break from social work directly, working with clients, and I wanted to set up my own coaching practice and working in particularly at the early stages in 2016 with women and empowering women. Because coming out of a career um, where maybe very corporate or working in departments, government departments, it can be a very high demanding work. And we all experience some form of stress. And I think also it's really important that whatever field of industry you're in, um, professional, various different elements of professionalism, there comes a time when you need to continue to grow and develop your skills and include new skills. So for me, I must say, when I began my journey and finding and being the founder of Empowering Leading Women, I set out to really want to inspire women to step up and have their voice in whatever professional field they're in. So whether it's accountancy or women in sport, women in STEM, women in tech, I think women around the world globally, we wanted to be respected, we wanted some equality, and really we want to be included in all of the facets of life and professionalism. So for me, I also wanted to bring a little bit of a difference and bring in the softer side of your personal growth, which is around self-confidence, things like your worth and your value and how you can speak up, and that to me self-care and well-being was also something that I didn't feel was being spoken about in leadership and in our personal and professional growth. So for me, Empower Leading Women really wanted to create personal development within our professional development. So I began with workshops and creating events and inviting women around to discuss topics like their self-confidence, what is it like in their professional field, building up their confidence. So I began in 2016 my coaching training here in Melbourne, and then went on in 2017 to create my very first workshop. And they go from mental health to self-care to self-love, self-confidence, from every field of women. So I've worked with many different women from different professions, and we get an opportunity to connect, which is really important. Um, and sometimes it's just that sense of being able to really empower people to lead by example and to feel confident going into any sphere. And for me, it was a wonderful way to, if you can't find your tribe, build it, create it. And for me, that's what I decided to do. If I didn't feel like I was fitting in anywhere, well, start your own group, start your own event, be the founder of your tribe. So that's kind of where it started back in
That's a wonderful
2016.
message. That is a very wonderful message, and it was amazing hearing more about that. So, ma'am, like you said, you started off all on your own. You didn't find your tribe, so you built your own. So, could you tell us how it was being starting out on your own in this field of business, all by yourself? So, could you tell us more about that, your struggles and all?
Oh, and there were plenty of struggles. One was walking into the unknown, the uncertainty of it, the where do I start, uh, and having to face the fears and stepping out of my comfort zone. And doing that allowed me then to kind of attract some beautiful women who really had something very similar happening for them. And that was finally that just because you feel a sense of fear or you're not too sure where the future is, like right now in the pandemic that we're all experiencing around the world, I felt it was the exact same thing when I first started out myself. I didn't know if I'd be accepted, if I was going to be able to learn whatever I needed to do, or how I was going to create that event, or how I was going to create my brand, or how I was going to create customers, or whether I was good enough to be in business, to be an entrepreneur, to step outside my comfort zone, because there can be a lot of judgment. And sometimes it's the fear in your own head. It's your own voice that creates um, that fear that you may have in the challenges. But the challenges definitely were, like a lot of things, with starting up or being a founder, the lack of funding, the lack of support, the finding the right network, understanding your competition, understanding the research involved, and not having a mentor. And then when you do find a mentor, that changes everything. That gives you one more step forward to be able to do it. And I think that was really important to find a mentor and to learn from others, especially those who have gone before you, and not to be afraid to fail. I had to learn that early. That I was going to fail a lot. And anybody who decides to be an entrepreneur or a leader or a thought leader or create or innovate something new, you're going to fail a lot. But if you can embrace that failure as part of the success journey, and success is different for everybody, so it's really inspiring because every challenge you walk and you face and you get through the other side, it builds your character. It gives you more confidence and self-esteem and self-worth. So yes, there are many challenges at the very beginning, but I get up every day knowing that this is a chapter that I write. And so there's something empowering that's so different about that kind of stress.
That's so
That,
inspiring.
exactly, that's great. So we all know how the pandemic has taken a toll on all of us. So how do you like to describe like how was the situation before the pandemic for you and your company, means the empowering leading women, and how it is after the pandemic? Like, yeah.
Great question. In 20, in March 2020, the world changed forever, and it's still changing hour by hour, day by day, for so many cities, countries around the world that are in different elements of restrictions, lockdowns. So when I started in 2016 in my coaching training, and then in 2017 creating Empower Leading Women, where the most important element for me that I felt was missing in other trainings or in other workshops or in other platforms, the connection was not there. We needed more connection as human beings. I find that's the best way to learn. It's the best way to feel support. So for me, all of the platform was based on face-to-face connection in a room together. So all of my membership was based around attending events, attending monthly workshops, attending socials. We had a social night every single month. So, we learned together, we socialized together, we built friendships and connections. We shared each other's um, challenges and supported their different businesses or startups or projects or innovations or charities. Um, and that I think uplifts women. I think when we come together, we can do impossible things, and also men. I think again, like if we take the example of sport, when men come together and they embrace cricket or some form of sport, or football, there is a bond and a connection that happens in that club or sport. It's the same thing when women sit around, have a cup of tea or chat or do those things because it's your emotional well-being as part of connection. So for me, it was really devastating to spend 3 years working on a platform, Empower Leading Women, and creating events and finally finding topics that, through my research, trial and error, what women wanted to speak about, what gave them value. They wanted to talk about confidence issues. They wanted to talk about self love. They wanted to build their resilience. They wanted friendships of all ages. And that's the other thing I loved about what Empower Leading Women was about. Not only did it give you a voice or opportunity to learn, but it really, we had women from all different age groups, under 20, over 50, over 60. And we just learned from each other's experiences. So when 2020 hit, because I didn't have technology, because my business model, my platform was only events, only workshops, only social, we physically met. I hired a space for everything. I did all catering. It was gone just like that. And for every business that didn't have a website then, didn't have online course, didn't have a program that was online or digital, uh, you died. Like Empower Leading Women just collapsed immediately because it didn't have, and with my choice as well. So I will say that to a degree, there was a plan and a strategy for a digital program and a website that took way too long to develop because at the time I was a perfectionist, right? I was like, oh my God, this website's got to be perfect and it's got to be the face of my business and I'm online and you know, being not having a website's like walking into your store. your bricks and mortar shop. And so I spent too much time working with a web developer way back when I started in 2018 and 19, and it never saw the day of light. And I remember when COVID happened, middle of March, I was like, oh, I wish I had my
Well,
website right now. You
that was
know,
pretty
so
nice.
it was
Yeah,
tough.
I have a question
It was
from my
tough, and I
side.
think every business will know.
Yeah, I was going through your LinkedIn like a little bit. So I saw that you have studied in University of College Cork, right? College
Yes,
Cork
University
University.
College Cork
Yeah,
is my beautiful university. Very
yeah.
proud and
It's a very
pleased.
beautiful university. I've literally seen it. I've gone through its whole academic profile and all, and it's a very beautiful university. It's really nice to be there. So I would like to ask this: कि how from college and to this position, how was the whole trip? Like literally, how did you go from college to being such a big coach and life coach for everyone, and such a big leader in women empowerment? So how was this all how happened? Like how did it all happen? If I'm clear, yeah,
Great, you are indeed very clear. Great question. I just have to
yeah,
make sure I answer that in its full entirety. So, because we want to shorten this very long question, we Irish people like to chat, or at least I do. So, back in when I qualified in 2004 from my university, I went and got a degree in social science, and then I got a master's in social work, and I qualified in 2004. I spent 8.5 years in the academic work of social work, and I really was very passionate and thought that I would be in that career for a lifetime. For me, it was a vocation. And when I then had the opportunity to come to Australia, that story was in 2008. Ireland, Europe, and America had a recession, and it was a huge financial crash. And during that really difficult period of time, after 4 years, not only was it a financial economic crash, there was the depression. And as an adult, it was the very first time, because obviously I was younger as a kid and it has happened. But it was the first time that I was able to actually see the impact it was having on my career, on my country, on those around us. Again, mental health. Again, very similar to what's happening around the world globally. Um, I found that it was impacting on my well-being, and I felt I did not want to continue being in an environment where it really took a toll on your well-being. And I wasn't looking for an opportunity to leave my country, but there was an opportunity that was put before me. I took the chance, and I remember going to the presentation, and somebody else had gone to see the presentation, and I went, "This is an opportunity to come and live and work and have my career in another country, experience a different culture, um, to grow even further." So instead of seeing the negative, the perspective that I took at that time was to embrace a new chapter of my life. And I literally just remember saying, yes. I just said, yes, I'm going. And 24 hours later, I tell my family, I'm leaving Ireland and I'm going to try a new opportunity to be a coach, or excuse me, a social worker in Australia. And they were very supportive, and it was a big deal to leave all of your family, all of your friends, go alone. Um, Gave everything away, literally sold whatever I could or gave it away, and just two little suitcases and myself got on a plane in January 2012, and it was a new adventure from the very beginning. It was in the middle of the tennis open. I'll never forget it. Phenomenal. And again, to experience Australia for the last number of years has been phenomenal. And when I spent that 5.5 years working with some beautiful people, Again, I don't, sometimes it depends what your perspective is. When I came over, I continued doing the same work as a social worker, child protection, new laws, had to learn a whole new system, all of those things that happens, finding a new belonging, finding people to be your new friendships, your extended family to replace that. I think for a lot of people who have traveled around the world will know what it's like if you've immigrated your country. And although, okay, I left because there was a depression and an economic, but I could have been a lot worse. There are people who have left wars, they have left violence, they have fled their country for so many different reasons. And whatever the reason is, they will understand what it's like. And then to add the fact that you were alone, you need to have a really strong mindset. You really have to embrace an openness and a curiosity, um, to connect with other people, to be open. And I just thought this was a chance for a lifetime. So I thought, let's go. And I guess what happened a few years later, that then decided I was going to leave my career. I was 41. I mean, call me crazy, but I just want you to know, whoever's listening to this YouTube, that whatever age you are, whether you're 50 or 60 or 40 like I was, if an opportunity comes, grab it. Like, take it with both hands and give it your best shot. Just give it your best and give it your all, because you know what, we've got one life and we know that for now. And um, that that I think that's the blessing for me, is just giving it your best shot, and having no regrets.
True.
So I decided to change the script, change the belonging, and yes, there was some struggles too as part of that story, and it was a bit challenging. But again, I decided, you know, it's now or never, and here I
Very
am.
well said, ma'am.
Um,
Very well.
and here I am. And then I also had to do some more training,
Yeah.
so I did that.
That is
So I
that
did
is
do some
something
training.
very true. Like everyone should give their best shot for anything they do. And yeah, all okay. Then I would like, since I'm a Y campaign volunteer too, so I would like to introduce a little about Y campaign. So if the people who doesn't know about it, it's basically a social impact global initiative. We Hear You campaign, and it's a domestic violence awareness campaign which began because of the pandemic and the victims in lockdown with domestic violence abusers and perpetrators in the homes. Caroline Ma'am decided to use technology and social media for sharing the message to the world to join the solidarity, to raise public awareness and be proactive. So, ma'am, would you like to little tell about the Y campaign and how it all initiated and what was the motive and all? Like, would you like to introduce a little about the Y campaign?
Indeed, thank you for some great questions. So, as I just mentioned, when I left my career as a social work child protection, I decided to retrain in being a coach, and I spent the last 4 years, um, training, in a local Melbourne coaching institute, and then we went on to create Empower Leading platform. And when COVID then hit, and as I said just earlier, I wasn't able to do events, I wasn't able to do workshops, I had to pivot. And so many businesses and organizations have to pivot and change and innovate. Well, for me, I felt connection is so important. Human Humans feeling a need to belong. I definitely know what that journey is like, to have a sense of needing to belong, even though you're in a foreign country. And so for me, I decided, okay, I might not be able to pivot in the way of creating an online platform as quick as I would like to. But you know, there was a dream and there was something that I knew when I left my social work career. I have a huge personal and professional objective and goal to create either and or a non-for-profit and a social enterprise. There are my two big goals with regards to family violence, domestic violence, and changing the statistic that one woman every week in Australia is dying at the hand of an intimate partner. Now, I can tell you that if you do research in India, Canada, Ireland, Europe, doesn't matter what country, it will be very high statistics. So the Why campaign was born. The little backstory is a beautiful friend who had contacted me and her friend contacted me last July in 2020. We were in the middle of a very, very severe lockdown in Melbourne. And at that time, it was one of the most severe lockdowns. And they contacted and said, Caroline, we know this is an important mission for you to create some form of impact. And they also wanted to put a message out to every woman in particular. We do know that there are lots of men, transgender women across all ages also impacted, but the majority, the stats tell that the victims primarily of family domestic abuse, gendered abuse, is women. So when they said they wanted to let the women know when they were in lockdown with their perpetrator, with their abuser, that we care, that we still see you, we know you're there, we know that you're struggling, we know you're in fear, and we wanted as a community to let them know that we are not going to give up on them and that it really mattered that we did something and that we were proactive. And I wanted to lead by example to say that there were so many organizations and charities, government stakeholders, all doing their bit, individuals, survivors. Survivors are out there creating platforms on social media, creating landing pages, any way that they can communicate that this has to stop, and we want to be able to be part of the solution and not the problem. So the Why campaign, it's called that because I used to support and still do support another charity in Melbourne called Impact for Women. And I, used to read their website and read their posts. And every time they used to announce a statistic of another woman dying in Australia, because that's where I'm living, so it was relevant to my context, I would just say why to myself. I would say the word why. Why does another woman have to die? Why does another child have to be without their mother? Why does another mother have to be without their grandparent or their sister? Why is that still happening? And it's increased because of COVID and because of lockdown. So that's why the We Hear You, which stands for the Why, became a voice to let them know that we are going to do something about it. And it's for the people, by the people. So we are not a charity yet or a social enterprise. Talk about that maybe another time. But we're just a group of volunteers from around the world that decided we're going to do something about it. And actually, if I go back a little bit, after those two women contacted me and we had a conversation, I said, okay, we can put out a message, but if you give me a few more days, I had to work on a campaign. And so I came up with this Why campaign after about a day or two. They supported me like wholeheartedly. Thank you so much to those beautiful women in Melbourne that just use their platforms to create the very first event for the Why campaign, sharing knowledge, information. That was in August 2020. We're having an anniversary very soon on the 8th of August. So thank you very much to all of those. And also a big shout out to 6 university students who were on a remote placement with me, and they thought they were going to be doing something else. And then we made up this campaign, and those students just jumped in the deep end with me. And for their 4 months of their placement as part of Empower Leading Women, we created 3 online digital platform called the Why Campaign. And we did that in August, September, and November. They finished their placement, and then it was just me again. So from December 2020 and January 2021, I sat at home and I said, okay, no more time for perfectionism. You are going to create a website. You're going to learn how to do it. This is the time. People need your help. They're calling out for more platforms to advocate for change in this space. And so, yeah, I figured out how to do a website. I didn't care if it wasn't perfect. It was more about the intention. It was more about wanting to communicate a message and finding a place where people could go to register to attend our next event. And then I asked for some volunteers and support and help from the world and the community, and they just said yes. They said, absolutely, let's help you, and thank you for all my volunteers who have been helping in their way. And we had four more events, February, March, April, and May. And we've got another event coming up in a few weeks, which I'm really excited, really excited about. So that answered.
That's amazing. It's really nice to hear. So, ma'am, about the Y campaign, it was wonderful to hear about it. So, let's move on and discuss about how technology can help in women empowerment, right? Because that's what we are mainly here about. Technology, and you bring the women empowerment portion to us. So, if you could speak a little bit about that.
Technology, for some of us, and that was me in my past life, was intimidated by technology, wasn't too sure or didn't understand it, and uh, that would have been the first kind of place that I came from, because my generation, my mom's generation, we didn't have technology, we didn't have computers, we didn't have that, what you all guys have grown up with, and even my nieces and nephews, they're probably even more advanced than where you'll be in another 10 years. So it's just amazing to see technology evolve. So to come from a place of no technology, where literally I could text, I could send an email, I could write a Word document, I could tune the radio, and I could, tune my TV. But that was the extent of my basic knowledge of technology 10 years ago, even 5 years ago. And included in that technology was the social media. Again, the very first time I put a post out, signed up for any of the social media platforms, was in September. Literally, I can tell you the day. It's September 2016. Before that, I had no idea what was going on in the world of Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. It was a whole different world. And I am so glad, I can tell you, that I decided to go from, sending out a pigeon, because back in the day in Ireland, we literally have uncles, and farming and, horses and all of those other things, uncles who had pigeons. And I kind of think and have a little joke to myself about, a cartoon where you send a pigeon and they send a message, or, well, gone from that to embracing technology and sitting down and creating and having a reason. And I think the why campaign in particular for me, that was enough of a passion, a purpose, and enough meaning that I was willing to learn as much as I could about technology to get a message across the world globally. Um, and that was my reason. That was the power for me that said, I'm going to embrace technology and use it for good. And I think as well in the world, I know there's a lot of things that happen that people are using social media and technology for crime and not good things in the world. But I think here's an opportunity for thought leaders, um, people moving into leadership, young women, to embrace it. And whether you're 60 years of age and you're on your iPad, or you're setting up a website because something important that you do, or maybe you knit something, or maybe whatever it is you're creating, maybe you make the best jam in the world. But there's so many reasons to use technology, and I think it's very empowering for women because it gives them a voice and it gives them a way to connect. And I really think that technology I think we should also teach as many people we can technology. I think the other day, a lady contacted me and she needed a little bit of support using Zoom. And I'm like, share that knowledge. Show someone how to use StreamYard, Zoom, YouTube. Like, I think just teach somebody how we can use the technology for good. So I think there's no point learning something and then not sharing it. Like, that's not wisdom. We're never going to get to progressing or moving forward if we're not sharing. And what I love about this opportunity today, talking to all of you guys, is that you're the experts in coding and STEM and tech, and it's beautiful to see these women as well, the two hosts here today, just embracing technology. And I'm learning so much from every person I meet. And so thank you so much for, giving me the opportunity to speak from a place of, not understanding technology to being able to use it more. And I hope that I can inspire more women to use technology.
Oh, that's great, ma'am. What is your take, like how women have played a key role in developing and expanding technology? Like, we all know that everyone is acquainted with all the new technologies in the world right now. So, what is your like take on like how women have played a role in that? So,
Women have played a huge role in technology, and I think what it is it gives some of the benefits for women that have come into this space is that inclusion is so important. In every sphere of life, it's so important to feel that women and men are included in any industry, and to be able to use technology. So whether that's aerospace or engineering, I think it's really powerful to know that there is a space for women and that they can step into that. I also think it lifts the barriers of entry. So whether it's financially, it allows them to have the access to technology, for financial, um, again, that economic, so for women as well, I think using technology allows them to have more access to economic wealth and equity and equality. So there's lots of different reasons why using technology for women does allow us to cross into a barrier where once before women weren't allowed. I mean, we go back into history and women have had a tough time. It has been a very male dominated world, and women have unfortunately have had to fight, and for every single right that they've ever had to do. We've had many marches around the world for women. So I think the role for women, I don't even think we've even touched the iceberg yet. Like, I really think there's more to see how women are going to use technology, and allow them into industries that they've never been to before. I mean, even taking Richard Branson's trip to the moon, as far as I can recall, there were two women in that rocket with Richard Branson. And, not only is, I just think the barriers for women, there is an opportunity using technology that allows women to walk in and sit at a table. And I think also they can create their own industries, they can start a business, they can create their own platforms, um, they can learn new skills. And I think there's just a lot of opportunity, and especially the way with COVID, it also allows us to interchange between, I can speaking to you, you're sitting in India in your home, I'm sitting here in Melbourne. So I think there's just so many benefits, and the role for women is yet to be seen. How far we women have come, and how far we yet have to come. So I do hope that we can continue being courageous, um, in using technology.
That's wonderful, ma'am.
yeah.
True.
Um,
Well,
so, yes, Shivani, you can continue.
yeah, so like I would like to agree with ma'am that technology really binds us all, and literally connects us so nicely that we can reach out to anyone at area sitting at any place globally with and create any kind of awareness that we want to. So I'm sure that with technology, the whole social awareness for and women empowerment and any kind of issues, being it global warming, being it anything, it has really helped it a lot. So, also for this, I would like to mention one case study in our own college, which happened, and maybe Satish would like to help us out there.
Yeah, so we had a case in our college where a student was being abused by her father, and her family was also being abused by him. So she reached out to the college authorities or through like to the students of the college, and we helped her spread awareness about her situation, and we were able to help her through the entire process and raise funds for her, and we could help her live a better life. Now, like that's how technology can help many people create awareness, and it has helped her in many ways, and it's a great thing that how technology is blooming, and it's helping people all over the world. From like sitting at our homes we can help people, and it's great. Just yeah. And we have other
Absolutely.
cases in India. Yeah, we have cases in India too, like not only limited to our college, but we have cases in India where people are uh, helping, reaching out to everyone they can over social media or through websites, and they are raising awareness about all those situations and all the problems that are faced by normal people.
Great examples. And I think it sums up what is possible and whether, again, that story of you sharing that family sought help and support in their community, and for them to receive the support and the care and the support and the protection that they needed just shows you that there are so much opportunities for supporting and helping people through that. And again, if they're experiencing, so whether, we know people are experiencing depression and mental health, people are suffering from bullying. Again, the whatever's happening for anyone, I think for women in particular, whether it is physical abuse, sexual abuse, domestic violence, financial abuse, opportunities where they're not able to speak, whether uh, all of those things, whether it's um, using social media and using technology can change dramatically and transform um, the support and the level of connection that we can have with one another. So I really do think those are great examples of how technology can be used to make a difference in someone's life. And I think when we see that technology or social media is being used for the wrong reason, I really do think, we do have a place, we do have a moral and ethical um, to make sure that we can do something about that, we can report that we don't turn a blind eye to it as well. So indeed, a great question.
Right.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yes, ma'am. Now going back to the time when you said about the Why campaign, it's a great initiative, of course. So, if you would like to share, some statistics about the domestic violence and all the other prevalent issues that are ongoing, so it would be great. It would be a very great insight for us.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your keen interest in the Why campaign. And as I said, I am only just a needle in the haystack. Sometimes you feel this is a very complex human issue, social issue, an injustice, um, tragedy, a crime, and it should not be happening. And there are so many organizations and individuals and advocates that are doing phenomenal work. And it is an absolute pleasure that I get an opportunity to continue and connecting with all of these people around the world and here in Melbourne and Victoria. And through the Y campaign, building those relationships, the statistics that I wanted to share with you today from various different sources. Um, 1 in 3 Australian women, and as I said, we can do some research. If you've got specific questions, you'll be able to source from your local statistics um, the results for what it's like in your country. And I would advise, I think ignorance is an excuse that we cannot allow to be the reason why you don't know these statistics in your own city, in your own country. And if there's anything that I'd ask you if you're watching today, take 5 minutes to Google something of value that could change your perspective and could help someone in the future. What about if that's you? So if you're someone, if you could Google, why are the statistics of violence, domestic violence in your town, in your city, in your country, you are doing one more step more than so many other people of how you cannot be a bystander. Because 1 in 3 Australian women experience some form of physical abuse in their lifetime by an intimate partner. Now that is a very high number. For men, it's even worse. 1 in 2 men will be assaulted or physically harmed, but the difference is it's by a stranger or an acquaintance, not by their intimate partner or family. And then this is the statistic. The statistic that the Y campaign absolutely want to change. It's inspirational. It's a big mission. But the one fact and statistics in Australia that is a shame, it's really devastating, is that one woman every week is dying, loses their life from domestic abuse. One every week. So between Monday and Sunday, where I sit, this country is losing another woman. That's what I'd like for the Y campaign one day, to see one region, one town, one city, amazingly one day a country, where there was a report of a woman dying as a direct result of domestic abuse and violence and gender violence. I would like to see that statistic not be there. There's a lot of work for that to ever happen in my lifetime. But that is the big mission and the vision that we want to get across is hashtag 1 year, 0 deaths, 25. And the last statistic we need to include, because not only are women the majority of the victims around the world today, 1 in 4 children in Australia are exposed to family domestic abuse. Because children are also the second biggest victims of this abuse. In Australia, in India, in Ireland, in Canada, in Europe, all 7 continents. This will be the same fact. And that power and control, that abuse, and again, for just some basic knowledge, domestic violence comes in many different forms. And I just wanted to share that really briefly. It's physical, financial, so it's not just, people when they think of domestic abuse, they think of physical. But it's physical, emotional, psychological, financial, and coercive control, which is now a very big interest around the world of what that actually is, what that's doing to women and children, transgender and to men, but primarily women. Please do take the time to learn a little bit about the different types of domestic abuse, because that is where you can prevent in the future your own life, your own relationships, your sisters, your brothers. That's where we can make a difference. Did I answer that question? Did I
Yeah.
do it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Thank you for being so curious and understanding a little bit about what domestic
Sure.
violence and what that is.
Would you like to tell us about the future plans? Like, how do you see your campaign in the next 5 years?
Yeah, indeed. Great question. And if I could be there now, I'd love to, right? If I could just jump into the future. I don't know if you've watched the movie Back to the Future, or what about what's that other one with the telephone? Oh, I should know this. Doctor Who. If I could just get into that portal and go 5 years from now, I'd really love to be there. But you know what? That's just wishing things away, which I would say as a bit of a life coach, don't wish your life away. So I have to give that advice to myself. As much as it's good to have a goal to work towards, which is also very important, my dream and wish and goal for 5 years from now for the Y campaign is to be a global non for profit and have a social enterprise as well, so that I can create programs. We have been working away at some wonderful therapeutic programs, employment pathways. So I feel there's a beautiful opportunity for both men and women to be involved in the Y campaign. I would like to be able to employ survivors and advocates and have an advocacy forum for domestic violence. And I'd love to be able to run events globally around the world, and shine a light on every woman who has survived, needs to thrive and recover the trauma and really be embraced and get back their whole self. And I would love to be able to really see a thriving We Hear You Foundation in the future, employed around the world with franchises and chapters. That is that is the big mission and dream for the White Campaign as the founder. And it's big and scary. And I remember some advice I got from, I suppose, mentors and just other amazing people that I've been learning and developing. And they said, if your dream, I don't know who said this, somebody might know out there. Please let me know in the comments. Subscribe and let us know. Um, if your dream is not big enough and scary enough, it's got to be big and it's got to be scary. And I definitely think this is a challenge. It's scary enough for me, and for all those that are kind of wishing us well and supporting us and wanting to get involved. So that's what it's going to look like in 5 years. And I'm excited. But it's the process. I'm enjoying the process. But yes, funded and be resourced. That's the other big thing. Right now, we're hoping to register this year, by the end of this year, to be registered, make a decision whether it's going to be the non-for-profit first or it's going to be the social enterprise first. We're looking for our angel investors and those that can really make our programs, our advocacy programs that we want to put out to the world, continue to have our monthly events, phenomenal guest speakers, and really see a sense of recovery from trauma for these beautiful women out there in the world, because there are future leaders, there are protectors, there are the people out there that are caring for our families, and they're the nurturers of this world, and that's why empowering women to me is such a passion. Thank you for that question.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
So, ma'am, what would be your take? Like, how does the campaign, like, we all the like, as I said before, the pandemic has taken a toll on the mental health of people like all over the world. So, how does this campaign support improving the mental well-being and trauma of all the people that this global initiative aims to help at? Like, how does it focus on the mental well-being of the people?
Great question. Thank you for asking that. For those, um, for the volunteers, and for those that we support through the Y campaign, which is to support those who are going through domestic violence, abuse of that nature. The thing that I think makes the difference is that through our online events, the mental health and well-being, no matter what or where you are in the world, I think a sense of belonging, community, connection will be the three most important things that one, not only does Empower Leading Women did do before the pandemic, as I said, through our events, our social evenings, our learning opportunities, our personal development, all of that, our leadership, all of those programs and all of those topics that we talked about in Empower Leading Women. Same for me, it's the same thing in Y campaign. The values that I want to bring to the Y campaign is belonging, connection, that the human individual, that respect for each other is really important. And to do that in the Y campaign, one of the ways that I think that your mental health, especially for those who are dealing with trauma from domestic abuse or sexual abuse, bullying, any of those things, intimidation, is being together, is having a place where you are believed, where you are accepted without judgment. Because I can tell you whether you're 16 or 8 years of old, or you're 28 or you're 60, if you are in an environment where you're not able to be yourself, and where you can't be appreciated for your skills, for what you bring, for what you say, I think that's the main core. I think where mental health can be a really can change. So I really think that the Y campaign, in its own way, is already creating a sense of less. It's therapeutic. It's just therapeutic. I think that's the Y campaign offers to those who are involved, is a therapeutic way to give back. And mental health is because, there's nothing worse than somebody not believing you, or somebody feels like you don't understand them. So because they are connected through an experience, which is individual, but there's the collective group, because as human beings, the one thing that makes us different from all other species, and also in common, is that we want to belong. We like to gather in groups, and we like to be able to share similar experiences. So I think that's the main thing that the Y campaign can bring together, that it resonates with people, this matters to them, and that they feel they can give back. And I think that's one of the most important things about evolving as a human being, is that you are able to give back to society, and that it's not just about yourself. And I think that's where I think the leaders of the world, those who are willing to genuinely do good or bring a difference, I think mental health is it's a very, very, very important topic right now, because the whole globe is experiencing it. And we are able to talk about it more than ever before. It's not a taboo. It still is a taboo in a lots of places, because we've been brought up to not speak about depression, anxiety, any of those things. But now, this is the time that we can actually communicate and not feel uncomfortable about it. And so I think the Y campaign has its own place to de-stress, or to bring people a sense of breathe. They can just breathe and feel that actually I'm not just here. And that can really decrease a sense of mental distress that people have, is to be able to have an open, safe space. So I think, and do it peacefully. We do know that there are things out there in the world that we can't change. And so if you focus on what you can't change, what's outside of your control, that's creating more anxiety. But if we can just embrace the things that we can change, which is usually us, it's just me, my thoughts, how I feel, how I react to you, how I respond to things. Of course, I get upset and angry. Of course, we're going to have days where we don't feel like getting out of bed. or we don't want to talk about it. We don't want to advocate for good today. I just want to sit home and, you know, um, comfort myself. That's all normal. Um, so that's some of the most important key things, I think. Belonging, lack of judgment, open space are some of the things that the white campaign can do to help ease some mental distresses that are happening.
That's wonderful. So, ma'am, like you said, the Y campaign is there to help us, right? So, if somebody were to be seeking help, right, during this pandemic, many students, many people, they don't like to talk about mental health with people they are around. So, how would they seek help? Suppose they wanted to attend your online coaching classes. So, how would they know more about that? How would they find out more about that?
And before
About your
I
online
answer
coaching
that,
programs?
yeah, and I will, if I can just add before we go into that question, just around the students, which are you guys and all the audience that are watching today, thank you so much for subscribing and following this. And if you have any strategies or tips or habits that you have found helpful um, to keep focused or just to relax or to de-stress or to how do you handle being in your home for so many hours a day and weeks on end. If you've got those, please do share them with us or email us or get in contact with the team that have put this together. But I wanted to just bring some elements before we finish that question. There are, for me, I have created a list which I'm very happy to share. If anybody gets in contact with the team, I can definitely provide you with this. But for around your mental health or self care, there's the practical elements of your mental health and well-being that we can do every day or be mindful of. Then there is the mindset part. It's the part where you're thinking or how you feel about it or how you're. So I think mindset is the second element that we have control over is what we're thinking and how we think. The other one is our physical. So for our mental health and well-being, there's also we've got to take consideration for our physical body and how that's operating or not. And then connection and belonging, which I've mentioned throughout, is crucially important to your health and well-being. And even the connection is used by technology. Right now, we are connected, right? All of us are connecting wherever we are in the world. We are connecting through technology and a sense of belonging. So if you are in STEM or you are in IT or you're a coder, if you're part of this organization, you have a tribe. You belong part of that Microsoft, ambassador. That is your tribe right now, and you can reach out to all of those, and they'll know what you're going through. They know how you're studying or the struggles you're going through, or what it's like to create a first website or to create a new app. That's important. And the other thing is, again, your self care is also around your self esteem, how you feel about yourself deeply and privately, which you may not express, but that's really important. So, self confidence, your self esteem, and just acceptance. There is so much advertising to not allow us to embrace who we are. Embrace who you are, and self acceptance is really important for your mental health and well being, and being around people that are supportive of that. A few other ones is your obviously our professional lives and our career, your study and your university work. That's going to be enhanced by focusing on your mental health and well-being even through this pandemic. Opportunities to grow, to learn, to perform, or to be acknowledged. Always find those opportunities. And finally, purpose and meaning and contributing. That is so important to your health and well-being. If you can find something that you're passionate about, that has a purpose, that you are bringing joy or contribution to society, if you are innovating something in technology that is going to change the world, so please continue, whether it's in the field of health. I think technology right now needs as many advancements for women in coming into the health sphere. Now, to be like right now in Australia, we are able to get a digital consult from a GP or a doctor. I'm able to get a script sent to me by an email. I don't have to physically go to a store. So it just shows you the advancements in technology that is going to help our mental health. So I don't have to get stressed out in a pandemic of physically going to a GP if I don't want to. I can get that through a text or an email. So I think that's really great for mental health. And finally, I just think again it's really important that your emotional needs, understanding what your physical needs in general, and your boundaries are all part of your mental health and well-being. And if anybody's looking for more information about any of that, I will be starting some online programs, various ones. Some are personal development for women, some is a personal development program for men and women, and you can contact me. I think there is some details in my bio, which we will show you later. So whether you want to know more about my coaching programs, please do reach out to me on my social media handles, either at Empowering Leading Women or McGuinness Consultancy is the other social media that you may contact with me, or reach out to the team here today who's given me this opportunity to speak. And definitely check out the Y campaign if you want to be a volunteer or learn more about what we do. www.ycampaign.com. And we have an event as well coming up in August the 26th and 27th for those who want to be part of the global movement of changing the statistics of women experiencing domestic abuse.
Well, that was a pretty brief and nice explanation about how the you can help and improve the mental health of any person. Well, I would like to share the screen and show the everyone the Y campaign website and a little
Yeah,
about you. Yeah, that would be nice. No, okay. One second. So is it visible, ma?
not yet. Yes. Oh,
Yes.
yes, it's
Yeah. So
fantastic.
basically,
Yes,
yeah.
it's visible. Great.
Would you like to tell something about the website and like how to reach out to you from the website and how to contact you, something like that?
Absolutely, it's a pleasure. Thank you again for the opportunity to shine a light on this social impact initiative, a volunteer initiative, and it's a global initiative. Um, whether it's going to be the very first global initiative around the world, not too sure. But right now, it feels that there is a time and a place for us to use this technology. And we have created this website as I mentioned earlier on, as part of explaining how I got from being a social worker to being a life coach to now being a founder of Empowering Women and attempting to set up a non-for-profit social enterprise. The Y Campaign website, as you can see in front of you, has a homepage, an about page, and if you go to the about page, you'll be able to see our guest speakers for our next event. It tells you a little bit about our mission and our vision. And then if you were going to head to our event page, where we do publicly put out our events on this website, so definitely you can head down to the we have resources page. We also have a support us page, and if you go to the support page, that's where you'll be able to volunteer, become an ambassador. We have some resources here. We have some information around services that are here in Melbourne. We have a beautiful blog that is written by various different people around the world who have contributed to our blog. Thank you to every single one of those. And again, some of those from India, those in Melbourne, Australia. Just so many people have wanted to express and educate those around domestic abuse, but also about relationships. Some of our things as well in our blogs are not just around domestic abuse. Here you can see the support us page where you can volunteer and become an ambassador. So if you would love to be an ambassador, please reach out and head to the website on our support page. If you would like to be a guest speaker for a next event that we will be having, please you can register what's your topic of interest. If it's in relation to domestic abuse, domestic violence, relationships, course of control, if you have some knowledge in this field, please do contact us. We also have a newsletter, and as we said, we are evolving all of these elements as we go because as we said, we just are we're new into this space, we're new in the digital. Please contact us as well on our contact page. You can see this website clearly gives you an opportunity to reach out to our team and myself, Carolyn McGuinness, the founder. Please do take the time to have a little tour. We know, and one thing I can tell you about this website, it may not be perfect, but it's progress, it's evolving, and the fact of the matter is, it is there for a good reason, and we feel that it is so important that if you want to create your own website and you have a meaning and a purpose or a product, or you're developing a software, that's the whole point of this. So it is technology being used to empower women and our community, our families, our friends, our own lives. So please do use technology, create your website, get someone to help you create your website. And, when I first started creating this website, I was by myself going, okay, let's start off with YouTube. Let's start Googling, let's do some research, let's find some templates, find a way. And I think when something is so important to you, like the Why campaign is to me, you will find a way. And that's what this website represents, apart from hosting events and sharing information, sharing our mission and our vision. This really is a testament to you will find a way if there's a will. And that's what this represents to me is women using technology to share a good cause and bringing people together. And I think this world needs more positivity, humanity at its best, and embracing technology to do that at the same time. So thank you all for checking out our website, www.thewhycampaign.com. That's how you can find us. And thank you again for the opportunity to share a little bit about how I've embraced technology.
Okay, then should I stop sharing?
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay. So, yes, ma'am. So that was a pretty nice website, I must say, very well made, and that is a perfect example of how technology is really helping those issues, and literally how we are reaching out to other people, and literally making a platform for all the people who are being oppressed by this issues, and whose voice are being suppressed and can't reach out to many people. They can come to this website and come to the whole platform and speak out their problems and all. So that would be all, I guess. That Let's wrap up the
Uh,
session with,
we have
and
a
yeah, entertain the questions of the
yeah.
audience.
And
So we
before
have
we
this.
do that, sorry,
Yeah, yeah.
before we do as well that although I started that website by myself, as soon as I was able to get volunteers who came on board, um, it has been phenomenal that being able to have people on the team like yourself that is able to support it and manage it and add all of the things that's required to improve it. There's plenty of work still to be done, but thank you to all the volunteers that have been working behind the scenes, managing that website and keeping it going and updating it. It's very important that I just say thank you for all that work because it's a team effort. Why campaign is a team effort. It's not one person. It's just the idea that I started, but everybody else as part of that journey. Thank you.
Yeah, so I guess we can move on to the questions right now. We can take in the
Yeah.
questions from the YouTube live chat. There's one question flashing right now in front of the screen. So it's from Muskan. She asked, could you please let us know the kind of data that was used in regard to the survey? Was it ordinal? I mean, yeah, that's a great question, Muskan. Ma'am, would you like to give
Yeah,
your take
and
on
could
this?
you just verify again for me a little bit more that question? So data in relation to what survey? Could you be more specific? I just wanted to get clarity on that question.
Ma'am, I guess the survey the statistics that you shared about the cases in Australia, I guess she's referring to that. So
Or she's
yeah.
looking for the source of where that data was from, I'm thinking. If I don't answer it in some way, please do allow me to get back to you later. If I do not respond, if I'm not giving you the correct answer, we will definitely find a way, email us in and let us know. But yes, the information around uh, the data for family violence, again, there are many sources, but the website that I had checked before I came online was Impact for Women, and they also on their website they have displayed their specific stats for that. So also research can be used from multiple sources. So again, I think what I'm sharing is that when I'm looking at these statistics, these are coming from departments, Bureau of Statistics in Australia, and again, different websites that I use that I have been using since I started this. I get that from Impact for Women, which I'm really glad to be able to be a support to that fantastic organization. And then they also source that from different sources in Australia, and all of those are printed on their website. So if you go to Women Impact for Women, that website, and go to their facts, I think it's called Facts and Stats. And if you scroll down there, it will show you and highlight Australia's Shame, I think is the title. And that wonderful organization shows all of the stats and statistics.
Okay, cool. I guess that answers her question. We also have one more question from Abhinav Mukherjee. In these times, he went during the pandemic. How can you expect someone to remain calm and quiet, especially when you're a student from a college and you're burdened with assignments and pressure about placements or studies and everything? So, how can we remain calm and quiet in such situations?
Great question, and I hope this is a good answer and it is a support to you. I think taking time for yourself. I think in a world where the demands on a student or a professional, it doesn't matter, but the demands of all of us, regardless of, whether it's our parents, teachers, university, our employer, our friends, people, our colleagues. I think one of the things I can tell you that has helped me the most, and when those have practiced spending time for yourself. So every single day that you find that me time, that you find that hour just for you, that you're not doing something for someone else, and that you need to fill your own cup up. You need to be able to just take a break, because what we have a sense of doing is panicking, and we're constantly thinking all of the time about our to-do list. What's next? Where am I supposed to be? Setting alarms, setting calendars. I mean, we're constantly flooded with things that we need to do. So I would say the most simplest things, I think the hardest strategies to improve your stress or your well-being or your mental health are the simplest things. But we find them as human beings the hardest to do. And I don't know, is it because our brains are evolving so much, or the influence of the external world um, has can be quite overwhelming. We have forgotten how to do the simplest things. And so I will just say pause and find time for you. And that means putting in your boundaries and saying, no, I can get back to you in an hour. This is my time.
That's great.
That is
That was
my answer for now. There's lots of other answers, but that's what I feel is I'd like to share.
Yeah, you answered that perfectly, ma'am. I think that helps all of us, not only Abhinav, all of us. So, everybody in the comment is really happy with the session. Brendan says that this has been the most interactive session till now, which is great. And I think you have answered all of our questions so nicely, and you have given us wonderful insight into how women empowerment is so prevalent these days. So, we are honored that you came with us here and gave this talk. And it was a wonderful session. So, thank you for coming.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's an absolute pleasure to be here and to answer any questions around well, health and well-being for those students that are going through a really difficult time. And just remember, the other thing I would add is please reach out. You know, there's never a silly question. There is, if you're feeling alone, isolated, fed up, frustrated, like literally, if you feel, that's the thing, feel confident enough that I can guarantee you that someone in your class, someone in your network, someone in your club, someone in this hackathon is feeling similar to you. Maybe not today, but they might tomorrow. So if you can just not judge someone for reaching out and saying, I just need a bit of company or a chat, or can you watch this movie with me? You know, whatever that is, do a Zoom, do a StreamYard, and watch the movie together. But I can tell you, it's just that connection is going to increase your well being and feeling okay. And the other thing that I forgot that I left for very last is have some fun. I know it sounds crazy to tell you, try and have fun in the middle of a global pandemic, but find a way to laugh, to smile, do some hobbies, singing. You know, like sometimes we got to get out of our professional hats and our professional, and just let loose a little bit. And I know maybe parents might not be happy with that advice, but I'm telling you, even our adults out there, we really need to bring some joy and smile. And so spend more time with those people that make you laugh, and you can have those 5 or 15 minutes to giggle and have a good belly laugh, put on your favorite funny movie, whatever it is, but do spend some more time with people that make you smile, that don't judge you, accept you for who you are, and embrace technology.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. That was a great session. So wrapping it out up, thank you all for joining us for this session on women empowerment with Caroline ma'am. And it was really great to have you all. Thank you, Srisha. Thank you, Satishna, for hosting this event. And thank you all. And also, people, don't forget to join us on the hackathon that we are hosting on 13th to 15th August. And I'm hoping to see you all on the hackathon. Like get ideas, get make amazing projects that will help the society, that will help everyone, and post it on our hackathon. And I'm sure that you all will be winners. And literally, it's all the initiative to do something better. Thank you, everyone, for joining us.
Thank
Wrapping
you.
up.
Thank
Thank
you
you
so
so
much.
much.
Thank you to
Thank
Have a
both.
great weekend, guys.
you. Great.
Take care.